you everyone for joining. Our meeting will last around 45 minutes. At the end, I will hold a section of Q&As, so you can ask me direct questions about transporting, about importing from China. I will answer the question at the end. So what will I talk about today? Of course, I will talk about the reasons why do we have to fight this situation, why it's so expensive to get your cargo around the world. I will make some actual updates. So I will make an update for September 2021. What are the rates, what's the transit time, what are the delays when it comes to shipments, some forecasts for the next weeks. Will it be more expensive or will it be hopefully cheaper? At the end, some useful advice from my side, how you can actually work with those high prices. Today, the main reason I think I have to start with is actually Ningbo. You've probably heard about the closure of Ningbo port a couple of weeks ago, and I'm always waiting for the rates to come down when it comes to the shipping rates, but they are climbing month after month. We had already stabilization in rates in July and in August, but Ningbo is one of the new reasons which cause actually higher and higher prices. Why Ningbo port, which many of you maybe didn't heard of? Ningbo is actually the third biggest port when it comes to sea transports. It's the third biggest container port in the world, and when you close a port like this, those problems will start to show up again. So the whole 2021 is crazy, and we face many situations. But for the last price updates, for the uprise of new charges, is I think the Ningbo situation. You also see that many container lines are leaving Ningbo behind. They cancel shipments to Ningbo. For instance, Maersk canceled 6 Ningbo calls, and they waited. How will the situation develop in China? Another reason, I think the prices are still really, really high, and I think this is important that you remember this when it comes to your imports, when you actually plan the shipments, especially for the Christmas seasons. I think many of you have already your cargo on the move because it has to arrive at the port of destination on time. But another, I think, really tough situation is the Chinese festival calendar. This year, it's really a difficult calendar. So I will give you a bonus calendar for all Chinese festivals 2022 at the end of the presentation. So please stay with me at the end, until the end. Sorry, and I will send you also all slides, all presentations for all you guys who can stay until the end. So please remember that September is the Mid-Autumn Festival in China, and October is the National Golden Week in China. And this year we have a difficult situation because when you look on those calendars, you can see that many companies, many forwarders, many exporters in China, they will have at least 2 weeks of work. And again, when you stop China for 2 weeks, and this affects whole China, all regions, you will definitely see some shipping delays and higher prices when it comes to the container prices. So please have this in mind. I will tell you a little bit more about the upcoming festivals, about the upcoming holidays in China, but this is something you don't actually think every day, because we work with our calendar and you forget, okay, there is like 10 days off at the beginning of October, whole China has holidays and there might be some delays. And actually, we already get used to high prices. I don't know if you get used to those high prices, but those prices are for at least a couple of months. I think now it's not the main reason to get it a little bit cheaper out of China, but just get your goods out of China. Not the price, but the place, the equipment, the free containers that matters. I think this is the main problem for the next weeks, because I saw many situations that some of you guys or some of importers, they had really good prices, but then a blank sailing come. But then they got the price cancellation, and so on and so on. So this is also really important to remember. So the two reasons for this month's Ningbo and actually the holidays you have to keep in mind, but we have also another reasons for those high prices. I would say the whole 2021 year was crazy because we started last year. As you remember, actually last autumn, those prices started to climb. I remember when I've talked to many importers, they complained about $6,000 to the East Coast in the US. They complained about $8,000 about prices to Hamburg or to Germany. Now I think everyone would love to see those prices on the main routes when it comes to ship goods between China and Europe or US. We had the Chinese New Year, a really long New Year. We had floods in China. We had a new wave of pandemic, especially in Shenzhen. Like July, it was the pandemic in Shenzhen, and other situation. I'm always asking myself, what else? So we already saw everything. Those prices are so high; they have to come down somehow. And I will also make some predictions in a couple of minutes. As I said to you guys just a few minutes before, we already saw, especially on ShipHub, especially working with our partners, with our forwarding partners, that those rates, we thought already hit the roof in July and August. We didn't see more increases in prices, especially as I'm talking today about those prices and those examples for the shipping rates between China and Europe. ShipHub, we are a German-based company, so we mostly work on the European market. But as I've said to you before, we also have forwarders in Turkey, Poland, Germany, US, so you can always find a forwarder when you do business actually with China and your local market. So there was actually nothing. We saw the roof, but Ningbo came back, and the prices they broke the roof and skyrocketed. A couple of weeks ago, another reason, especially for the rail shipments. As you know, we have many rail shipments between China and Europe. Actually, last year we had more than 10,000 rail connections within 1 year between actually China and Europe. This is really massive. Zhengzhou is one of the main rail hubs. When you look on the map, we had Zhengzhou flooded. It's one of the main hubs. Really, at least 2, 3, 4 weeks of delays when it comes to the rail shipments. I don't know if you are using rail shipments. If you are from Europe, I saw that some of you are from Europe. We can talk about this in the Q&A section within actually a few minutes. As I've mentioned, return of COVID-19 in China. I think we have new waves all over the world, but China is really strict when it comes to the lockdowns. Even few cases in the port of Ningbo, few cases in the port of Shenzhen, they just closed, they locked down the whole terminals, the whole port, even if those are the biggest ports in the world. So I think this is another reason. We may see those reasons in the coming weeks. So maybe when we see some COVID cases in Qingdao, in Dalian, in Xiamen, in Wenzhou, it may come back again and cause other problems. I don't think those problems will affect the rates as Ningbo or as Shenzhen, because those are the biggest ports. Xiamen and Wenzhou are, of course, smaller seaports in China. But if you have your goods in Xiamen, if you have your goods in Wenzhou, it will affect you as an importer as well. So congestions, especially in ports, Ningbo, Shenzhen, they are handling thousands, tens of thousands containers every day. And if you stop this kind of port, you will see delays. And actually, Yantian was even worse than the Suez Canal. The Suez Canal started the whole rally with prices after the Chinese New Year, but I think Yantian was even worse. And when you look on the port congestions around the world, congestion is like a delay. If you're not familiar with the specific term, it means how many ships are actually waiting to enter a port. We see a stabilization here, as you can see. I will just put the you can see on the screen what I'm talking about. May, June, it was going down, and again, August, we have a spike and it's going up. Actually, we can say that at least 5% of the whole world's fleet is in traffic jams. So we have like really huge traffic jams in seaports, and just in the Ningbo ports, there are actually 141 vessels, ships waiting before coming into the port. So if you wait for your goods, unlikely you have to wait for your ship connections. You have to wait for free space. Everybody wants to have a container shipped out of China. Everybody wants to get a free space. The more people, the prices are going up, and this is also a reason why we have to face it. And not only China, but on the other side of the world, in Europe, in the US, we also see many congestions, especially in the LA port, Long Beach port. That's you probably saw it on the media, that many ships are waiting in front of the port to enter the ports, to unload the full containers, to get the empty containers on back on board, go back to China, and travel again back with your product. So those are some photos of the congestions in the LA port. I wrote yesterday that there's a record. I think 45 ships are queuing, are waiting in ships jams to enter the LA port. So this is really massive. This is like unbelievable. I would say you can see those photos, and yeah, this is one of the reasons. I'm talking about the reasons, so you can also understand why is it so expensive, and actually plan ahead and plan your imports for the coming months, or even for the coming actually year. So as I said, you will get the presentation when you stay with me at the end of my short webinar. Congestions also on railways. As I've said, between China and Europe, we have a massive railway connection, at least 30 days in delays when it comes to rail shipments. This is also really huge, because you will face like 50, 60 days of door-to-door shipments when it comes to rails. This is really long, and yeah, the season is coming, and you want to get your goods actually. I think also the big ship owners, they try to use a little bit the situation. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but we have actually just a couple of companies who run all the ships all around the world. So yeah, they benefit of course from that. Everybody wants to pay more and more for the containers. We have Maersk, COSCO, MSC, CMA, Hapag-Lloyd. We have of course some smaller ones, and when you look at the stock price, even for Maersk, there's like a 500% of stock rise within the last 12 months. So this is, I think, also a small reason, or maybe a big reason, for those high prices you actually have to work with. So you also see that the ship owners, they get together in alliances. They formed like 3 big alliances, and the alliances, the Ocean Alliance and 2M, are actually running the whole container shipping business. It's not my prediction. Those are like public informations that many experts, they predict that the shipping industry, that the container lines will earn a profit of $100 billion just in 1 year. So this is really crazy, and I think they just try to benefit from the situation. Hapag-Lloyd, a German-based company, they earned more in the last 6 months than in the last 10 years combined. So imagine we pay actually. Why do we pay so much for the shipments? And I think to understand why is it more expensive, you have also to understand the whole supply chain. I've mentioned to you the Christmas season. I've mentioned to you the Chinese holidays. You have to understand, to plan for the 2022 year, for the next season, really time ahead, because we may stay with new COVID waves in China for the coming half year or next year. And if you have closures of ports, if you have closures of trade terminals, you will actually see a huge delay of the door-to-door shipments. The transit time may stay the same. So it's also really important for you, I think, to understand, yes, I have to order goods from China really in advance, like a couple of months before, just to make it on time, because I'm not sure what's going on in the industry, what will happen to actually shipments, to rail connections, to sea connections. This is I think really important to understand. And other reasons, I think that if you're focused on the US and Europe line, you will get expensive, but you can get containers out of China. But when you work on some minor markets, smaller markets, you can even you are willing to pay, but you won't get empty space to ship your products. We see in Europe the situation between Australia, New Zealand, in Europe. You can't get containers out of Australia to Europe because there are no connections. There's like nobody sailing on those lines because everyone sent the ships on the China routes to make the biggest profits over there. Remember, typhoon season is coming to China, especially to the southern provinces, so Guangdong, Guangzhou, Shenzhen, Hong Kong. If we see some typhoons, we just had 4 typhoons already, or 3 typhoons, I think. Ports are also closing. When we have a big typhoon, a port can close for 4 or 5 days. This will cause a lot of delays for your shipments, for your goods. So please have this actually in mind. And some updates for the current prices, for the current situation, just to present to you, to show you what you have to work with, what you have to actually calculate in your import business. As I've mentioned, last year it started to happening. It started to go up. November, a spike, like the prices, they shoot through the roof. Last September, October, we had $2,000 for a 40-feet container between China and Europe. Today, we pay, you can write me maybe later on the chat what you are paying. You are paying like 15, 18, or even $20,000 for a container. What is important? And you can do this on ShipHub, and I really would like to encourage you to try new transport modes, because actually now you can get cheaper rail transport than sea transport between China and Germany, for instance, in September. This is crazy because 2-3 years ago, rail cargo was much more expensive than sea cargo. Today, those prices are 1-to-1, or even rail cargo is cheaper when it comes to the European route. So this is something interesting. This cost, I think, also this was caused by the very high sea rates, but you can use ShipHub to compare those rates and maybe try to send your goods with rail. Rail shipments and sea shipments, almost 1-to-1. Always check, always compare. This is at least what you can do, and just use ShipHub. Set up a free account. Get a quotation within minutes, actually it's not automated. You can get in touch with real forwarders. Those rates are not preloaded, so it's always a real offer, but still you get it within minutes from your potential partners. And what do we have to pay? Some examples for the September 2021. Some LCL shipments between Shenzhen and Hamburg. We see around $200 for a CBM when it comes for LCL shipments. For the sea cargo, some examples for the FCL shipments, $18,000, and between Tianjin and Antwerp. Look at the transit time. The transit time is really long without delays, and without port closures, without typhoons, without other problems which may occur in the future. So please really plan ahead to get your imports on time. And just to compare the rail transport, Wuhan to Duisburg, also to Germany, look on the transit time. It's like half of the transit time compared to sea transport, and the price is also $200. Okay, 200 to 250, maybe a little bit more, but it's almost 1-to-1. And if I have to pay already a lot of money for my shipments, why not to try use the rail cargo? At least I can get it faster than on the traditional way on the sea cargo. Rail transport FCL, Tianjin to Hamburg, 40-feet container, 22 days, the same, $18,000, even $200 cheaper than compared to sea cargo. So don't be afraid of rail. Try it, and it's really a new solution. I think when you're already paying so much, why not to get your goods faster? And of course, air transport. You can also quote air transport on ShipHub, especially between China and US. We have many forwarders offering the air cargo, but still look how expensive it is. We still don't have passenger commercial flights between China and the rest of the world. It's really hard to get some reasonable air cargo prices. And our predictions for the coming weeks, for the coming months, and even for the next year, I think we won't see any better solutions or better situation in the market. No space on free ships, so it will be still hard to get a free container out of China. Still high prices. But what I said, delays. I think this is what you have to remember after my meeting today. It will be expensive. I hope you get used to it because we have to get used to it. Those prices will stay high, but the delays, they will come. China New Year is coming. It's coming on the 1st of February 2022, and the Golden Week and the Mid Autumn festivals. They will start within 2 or 3 weeks. So uh, if you are planning a production in China, please remember you have a small gap to get your goods out of China before you will face even bigger delays. Of course, some good news: new ships are coming, new containers are coming, so the situation has to come back to normal. Definitely, it will be a new normal, but those prices, they have to fall eventually in the future. As I said, July, August, we didn't see some bigger changes in sea prices, even a small drops on some routes. A slight fall. We may have a slight fall in October. It's of course a really big prediction from ShipHub and from our side, but um, after the Golden Week, we may see some faults, but please take this advice really carefully. It can be that some ports will face some other COVID cases in September and October. China will close ports, and we will still have a rise in prices. Planned delays. Please take your delays into account when you do business with China, when you do import business from China. South provinces, at least 2 3 weeks, I would say. Railway, at least 2 weeks. Now I hear from some importers even 30 days. So they have a booking at the middle or at the end of September. They are not sure if the train will leave the terminal. You have to take it into account. I think railway rates will be the same as sea rates in the coming weeks, in the coming months, because the sea rates hit already the levels of the railways. So if you can try use the rail between your country and China. Of course, when you talk with forwarders, when you have smaller imports, when you don't have like contracts for sea rates, you will see shorter validity of period of forwarding offers. So you might be used to 30 days, 40 days. I see many offers from forwarders. This offer is valid until Monday. On Monday, new pricing, new prices. I don't know what's going on. The market is really hot. It's really dynamic, and many forwarders, they can't guarantee you actually rates for a longer period of time. So sometimes you have to pull the trigger and actually get a decision. Okay, make a booking of 2 containers. I'm paying. I'm doing it right now. So you have to also remember those are predictions for the coming months, and I think they will stay actually with us. Air cargo, when it will be cheaper, when if China reopens, when more and more commercial flights start to fly to China, there will be more space in the air cargo, and then of course we'll see a decrease in freight. Actually, now it's not happening, but I hope and I believe that in the coming months we will see it. Many companies are changing the transport preferences, and this is also what you can do. Even big companies, they switched from air cargo to sea cargo. Even Apple, which was always sending the products out of China by air cargo, they started to use some sea shipments. So this is something new, even for those big players. Of course, other fees, subchargers, and other fees will apply to importers to you. I see many demurrage fees which will go up, shorter free time time in ports, shorter detention time to unload the container at your warehouse, at the place, at the destination. So the industry will also change. We have to get containers faster around the world. We can't actually wait and waste time. As you see on this on my slide, the average time of non-use of an empty container is almost like 40 to 60 days. So this is really a lot. And those companies, they try to shorten this time and to get the cargo faster and moving. I still believe on 20-feet containers, in 20-feet containers between China and Europe. I don't know if it will it will happen, but I still believe it has to change to get more cargo on the rail. Prices increased before the Chinese New Year. Please remember about that. January, December, I think it will be even more expensive than now because China New Year, 1st of February. avoidance of certain ports. You have also to remember about blank sailings, what I'm talking here about. Just an example, Hapag-Lloyd bypassed the ports of Auckland in the western sections. They just decided, okay, we don't have time to stop here. We go with our cargo just straight to another port. This will happen more often in the coming months, in the coming actually a year. And the prediction, the forecast from us for the coming months, we will face those expensive rates we already have here. Maybe a slight delay, decrease in October after the Golden Week, but then again December and January we will see higher prices. Of course, some good news from my side, not only the bad news. More and more ships come into service. The ship owners, they want also to make even more money. They order bigger ships, more ships, and this is also a good information for us, for importers. This year 2021, some ultra large container ships, ULCS, will enter the service, and you can already see like HMM, the second biggest, because last month Evergreen launched an even bigger ship, which is actually now sailing from Asia to Europe, which can take more than 24,000 TEUs on board. And of course, those ships, they can't actually sail empty. And if there will be more space, hopefully the prices will fall. Some governments are actually also taking control of the shipments, because many countries, many exporter countries, they actually can't allow their manufacturers, their companies to face a year-long problem when it comes to high rates. And for instance, we see that Taiwan decided to face the problems related to the shortage. They ordered ordered like 46 containers. Another example is that China is also producing a lot of empty containers. 96% of all new containers are produced in China, and even you see the first quarter of this year, the three biggest companies, they produce more than 1 million TEUs of new containers in China. So new ships are being ordered. They will come into service in the coming months, in the coming years. And also we see some changes in the market. For instance, Wanhai was always a local container line. They started to send smaller ships, but on popular routes between China and US. So this is also which is changing a little bit the industry, the current situation. Also, not only Taiwan, but Thailand is also ordering container ships, are also building a national container line. I think this is the response to those high prices. Of course, China lines are government owned, so they also try to stop a little bit the price rally, I would say. And luckily, maybe without those companies, we would see like 25 or $30,000 for a container between main markets. So I think after those containers will come a slight decrease also in rates will happen in the future. But what is also important for you, for all of you who are listening today, please remember to plan ahead. I know I'm telling you this many times, but supply chain planning is really important to understand in the coming year. You know, you can't rely on 20 days of transit time, of 31 days of transit time between China and Europe. You have to take into account really delays ranging from 20 to 40 days at least, without any bigger problems. So your whole supply chain will change, and you have to plan really ahead and be ready for that. Be ready for that. Maybe after we come back to a normal situation, you can plan as usual, but now you have to remember that. So pay attention. When will you need your product? When you want your products to get out of China, of course, you have to order your products before that. In China, I'm not talking about importing today, but as you know, the manufacturing industry in China, they have also delays. There are delays in materials, there are delays in production. You have always to take this into account. And as I said, I think it's really too late for Christmas products already. You have to order them at the beginning of the year, send them during summer, for instance, to get them on time. I think now spring products, especially for the European or US markets, you can I think start thinking about sending those goods out of China and take those delays into account. Of course, some examples just to show you the idea how to plan. I think Halloween articles, I already saw them in some local shops here in Europe. So they're already here. So those companies, they ordered them like months in advance. Articles for summer, as I said, understand the whole supply chain, because as you see on this slide, the factory will have a delay. You will just get an email from the supplier from China. Yeah, sorry, Dominic, we have 2 weeks of delays in production of your Halloween products. Okay, but then you will get the information from the port authority in Ningbo or Shenzhen. Sorry, you have to close the ports for 10 days, test everyone against COVID, then reopen. Then you face already 30 days of delays. Then some technical delays. You won't get a free space on a container ship. You will have like 10, 20, another day of delays. Then the transit time, the time of shipment, and actually really try to understand that. Also, another example for the rail transport, even 12 to 16 days of transit time between China and Europe, but the whole door to door is at least, I think, now 30 days or even longer when you take into account delays. So please remember that. And some advices from my side, and then we will start the Q&A section. How you can actually try to solve those problems. Maybe some advice will help you, hopefully, which I've gathered for you. First of all, compare. Actually, really try to compare sea cargo to rail cargo if there is a possibility. Compare also between forwarders. You can use our platform ShipHub, where you can get offers from different companies and compare. Even a saving of $500 or $800 on one container is really important in those days. So compare not always the mode of transport, but also compare between maybe your forwarder you work with. It's free to compare it on ShipHub. Just log in, set up an account, get your route, and you will get some offers. You will see the market prices. Maybe overpaying actually now. So really compare. What important? Check another connections. For instance, here in Germany, of course, we would like to get the cargo to Hamburg, but when you look on the map, you can actually also ship to Rotterdam. You can ship to Antwerp, Le Havre, or Poland, or Denmark actually, and just get your cargo by truck to your warehouse. So try to compare those routes. Maybe there are some savings. And also important, compare on the other side. So especially in China, we saw that Ningbo was closed. And of course, when your container was already in the Ningbo port, you had the problem. But when your goods were under production, you could just talk to your supplier and tell them, why not drive the truck to Shanghai or drive the truck to Wenzhou. Those are like 300 kilometers, but those ports are open. Also, in the Shanghai area, we have a lot of different ports. You don't have to use always the same one. The same example between Xiamen and Shantou. Shantou, the world capital of toys production in China. You can use either one port or another one. The same example in the Pearl River Delta, like Guangzhou, Zhuhai, Shenzhen, Hong Kong. Try to use another port, maybe compare those prices, be actually more flexible when it comes to sending your goods out of China. I've told you that before, contact with several forwarders. I've heard that for many importers that nowadays it's a big mistake to actually work just with one forwarder. Have 2-3 different forwarders you work with, because they can maybe offer you better solutions in this difficult actually situation when it comes to those prices. How to choose the forwarder? I think you know how to choose, but some information from my side. You can ask them about different services. You can ask them what are they good at. Also, for instance, on ShipHub, we have some forwarders. They focus only on the rail shipments between China and Europe. They have the experience. They have good rates. They have space. They can advise you on those routes, on those products. There are many problems with different products when it comes to the rail shipments, batteries, dangerous products. I saw many solutions, many advices from forwarders from our side who helped you, for instance, with that. Another solution: try LCL shipments. Even if you are used to always container shipments, big shipments, FCL shipments, why not to split the cargo and maybe send some part of the cargo now and maybe split the risk, the price risk. Okay, our risk half of a container now, another half in October. Maybe those prices will go down, maybe they will go up. It's difficult to say, but you can use it. LCS shipments, it's nothing difficult. You can use LCS shipments also on the rail cargo, so why not to try it? Of course, stuffing goods, try to always send a full container. Also, from my experience, many importers, they booked a full container, even though if they had like a half container, but it didn't matter to pay two, 300 or $400 more for 40-feet container than for 20-feet container. Now, really try to stuff the goods, like get a full container out of China. Don't send some empty space, some air inside the container. Also, as I said, split 40 to 220s, split the 20 to LCL, or try to send some LCA shipments. You can talk also with your supplier in China. I think this will be a really good advice just before the Chinese New Year. So maybe in the coming months, you will need this advice. Talk to your supplier in China. Every year, even this year when it was really expensive, but it's cheaper after the Chinese New Year than it's just before the Chinese New Year. So if there are some delays in production, try to talk to your supplier. Hey, can you store the goods? I will just pick them up in 4 weeks after the Chinese New Year, and maybe you can save a couple of bucks in this case. Ask other importers. We have an importers Facebook group, so you will get information about that maybe later on, some email from me. Join this group, maybe talk to each other, try, I don't know, combine your imports. Maybe some of you have some free spaces and you ordered already a container. We have to figure something out to get it cheaper and to get actually our goods in some reasonable prices. Of course, always work with verified suppliers in China. Sometimes you can use the shipment organized by your supplier in China. Of course, be really careful with DDP shipments, with some really DAP shipments, but they occur to be DDP shipments. So get to know your Incoterms. Maybe change the Incoterms, negotiate them. Sometimes, of course, a Chinese supplier may have a cheaper DHL or FedEx shipments than you can have. So also try to work with them. And what I've said at the beginning to you, print the Chinese calendar, and remember that we have the Chinese holidays. They're really different than your holidays, and sometimes it's really difficult to remember. And I personally sometimes forget about some holidays in China because you are of course, I'm working with China every day, but still I can forget it. So remember that. And this is an example for the I think difficult situation in 3 weeks. As you look on the calendar, we have 10 days off for the Golden Week in China, because it will start this year on the 1st of October, which is a Friday. And it's a national holiday in China. So China will close. And before that, we have another national holiday, which is actually, offices, banks, post offices are closed. It's a national holiday, which is the Mid-Autumn Festival. And many companies, they will, maybe not whole China will close, of course, for 2.5 weeks. But I believe that it will cause really delays in transport. The whole supply chain is really complex. We have the truck drivers, we have the employees at the port, we have the handling guys, we have the shipping owners, we have like export companies, we have suppliers from China, and so on and so on. And there will be, in my prediction, at least 2 weeks off, and I think there will be some really delays caused by the holidays. So please remember that. Maybe advice from my side, and get the calendar for the next year to plan ahead. First of February, the start actually of the China New Year. It will actually start 31st, but just to remember, 1st of February. Then the Lantern Festival is just 1-2 days off. It's not a big deal. But remember that as you see, September, October next year, we won't have 10 days off, because 1st of October 22 is Saturday, and we will just have a week off. So not that bad. I think this year was really, really crazy. We got a crazy situation. We have COVID situation. We had a calendar which was actually also difficult for importing business. And as I said, plan ahead. Really plan ahead. I think this is one of the biggest advice from my side today after the meeting. Of course, get familiar with Incoterms. I think each importer should know Incoterms, at least the basic ones. Maybe try to change them. Maybe work with your local forwarder. I think the solution to change Incoterms helped really a lot of our ShipHub users after the Ningbo closure. So they change FOB Ningbo to Xworks factory. They get their forwarder to pick up the goods, drive it to another port, drive it to Wenzhou, get it out of China, and don't wait when Ningbo will actually open. So also the Incoterms table you will get from me. So look after some of my emails after the meeting. Consider also different ports. I told you about that before. Remember about the time of offers. Not 2 months, not 30 days, even shorter. Insure the goods. I think this is also a good solution, which you always have to remember. I don't know if you do insurance, but please remember when you ship goods to buy the insurance. Just maybe a general advice at the end. And I think this was it. I don't want to take too much of your time. So if you have questions, shoot some questions. Let's talk about your experience. Let's talk about China maybe. So thank you very much for joining. If you have questions about shipments, about the current situation in China, you can always email me directly at contact@shiphub.co. You can try to use ShipHub. Hopefully you will find some forwarders, and I will open the chat window. So thanks for joining. Thank you for being here, guys. And join me on our next webinar about an update maybe in 2 months. Join me on our other webinars. Peter is holding an import webinar about importing from China. So if you want to listen more about importing from China, about the problems when it comes to sourcing products in China, about delays in sourcing, so watch out an email from me. You will get an invite to another free webinar. So thank you for being. I see we have a first comment here. See you hopefully next time. Thank you. Bye.